Hi there, my name is Nicholas Charles. Welcome to TNC, and today we're going to be talking about VAT. Should you be VAT registered? Again, the first thing you need to look at are your customers. Who are your customers? Are you a business-to-business provider? Are you business to end user? Now, if your end users, if your customers are VAT registered, then VAT makes no difference. You'll charge them VAT, they'll reclaim the VAT. It's not an extra cost for them. However, if you're selling to end users, VAT now becomes an extra cost to them because they can't reclaim it. Currently, VAT is 20%. If you were to charge your customers 20%, they can't reclaim it. So overnight, your sales have gone up. Your costs, I say, your prices have gone up 20%. Can you take that hit? Now, going back, you need to take into account, once you've reached a certain level, you have no choice in this matter. There are certain exceptions. You can argue that maybe there was a hike in a particular time and you expect it to continue to be below the threshold, you may be able to get away with that. Again, if you want updates on all the thresholds, please look at our website, www.charlesfcca.com. We have, our website gets updated on a regular basis for all the tax rates that are applicable and the VAT thresholds. Remember, the government has the opportunity to change these thresholds every year, and they tend to do that in the annual budget. So, you've exceeded the threshold, you've got no choice, you've got to be VAT registered. What are your options now? Again, small businesses do have an option. You can either charge VAT in the standard method. Now, the standard method is every time you issue an invoice, you charge VAT, currently 20%. And then every time you pay VAT on your purchases, you reclaim the VAT. Now, on your sales, it's known as output VAT, so you charge 20%. You deduct the VAT that you've suffered, and whatever the difference is, you either pay HMRC, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, or you make a reclaim. Your other option is cash accounting. Very relevant if you've got customers that are slow paying. This has now become relevant during a recession. Customers are, withholding their money, and they're notoriously slow. A lot of businesses have experienced these problems. What does cash accounting mean? Quite simply, you only pay VAT on what you receive rather than what you charge to your customers. On the flip side, you can only reclaim VAT on what you physically paid. Again, relevant, but subject to restrictions. Your turnover has got to be within a certain amount. Again, look at our website, www.charlesfcca.com, to have a look at what these restrictions are. Your other choice is the flat rate scheme. The flat rate scheme, quite applicable to cash businesses and those businesses that don't incur a lot of VAT on their purchases, simply means you pay a flat rate of VAT to HMRC, again on a quarterly basis, based on the service that you're in. So what does that mean? You charge VAT on your invoices, and the normal method is 20%, but you pay HMRC a flat rate percentage on your gross sales. And that flat rate will tend to be less, and it could be anything between 4% right the way up to 13-14%. Again, the rates change. Please look at our website for an update on the rate, or even look at HMRC's website. They'll give you the full breakdown based on your service. However, the only problem with the flat rate scheme is that you can't reclaim any VAT back. Again, there are certain exemptions if you're going to pay a substantial amount of money for fixed assets, but generally you can't reclaim VAT. So make the decision, speak to your accountant, it can be extremely relevant to you. Now, before I disappear, VAT on property. VAT on property is very, very niche and you need to have an expert on your panel. I had a solicitor. I'm going to give you a quick example of how niche VAT is on property. I had a solicitor, 20 years experience. He misadvised my client. He told him, I'm not going to go through what he told my client, but he was misadvised. And luckily, my client came back to me and asked me. I'm an expert on. I know my stuff on VAT and property because I'm an expert on property rather than VAT per se. But his advice would have cost my client in approximately £80,000 in lost tax. He would have had to pay that, and he would never be able to reclaim that back. So be very, very careful with property. Property is very niche. It all comes down to subject to, and it's fact-based. So if you're going to buy a property, it tends to be commercial property that has VAT. Or even if you're developing property, again, VAT on developments does vary depending on what you're building. Please speak an expert. Thank you very much.